Hi everybody, it's Aaron here with some grammar insights or language insights, and today we're going to focus on the letter H in English. I am fascinated with languages, and the letter H really does stick out not only in English but in other languages, and we're going to see why. There is something special about it, the function that it has with vowels and the function that it has with consonants. It does join together with several consonants, as you know, if you are an English speaker. And we're not going to focus on that as much. We're really going to take a look at it at the beginning of words. So it really doesn't, it's not a letter that ends very many words in English, just some utterances that are very common, like ooh, ah, oh, and huh. Things like that do end with an H when you spell them out. Also, a lot of foreign words can end with an H. I say foreign, but of foreign origin. These are words in the English language that come from other languages like Hebrew or Arabic and Yiddish. A lot of words come from Yiddish that end with an H, like challah bread or meshugana, Messiah, Allah, or Allah. Those are all words that end with an H of Semitic origin. But we're going to focus on H at the beginning of a word. Do you know what a mute H is? Or have you ever heard of, can you think of any letters where H is at the beginning of the word, yet we don't pronounce it with the typical H sound? Well, what is the typical H sound? I think a lot of little kids could tell you it's that breathy sound. And really, it just consists of your vocal folds, which are in your vocal tract. They will be at rest. They're closed like this, but they will open to let air pass through, and that is the H sound. That in Latin is called aspiration. If you're familiar with the word respire or respiration. So spirare, of course, is the Latin root of this, and it means to breathe. So it's a breathing sound, H, and when it comes before a vowel, it lets the vowel be second. In other words, it gives a breathy onset to the word. Without that, the word would sound different. And for example, we do have a few words in the English language that come from French that have this very thing going on. So in French, there are two kinds of H, and it's the mute H and the aspirate H. In English, we have the same thing. We have the aspirate H is our primary H. It's the one that makes the breathing sound. But a mute H exists as well, and we have inherited this from French after the Norman conquest of England, when they brought us their tongue and changed English forever. These words are few, however, and we just need to memorize those if they're unfamiliar to you. And keep in mind that any words that are based on these, the derivatives of these, also will have the mute H. It does carry through to other words related to these. So, hour, air, honest, herb. And herb is one that people could argue with you can be pronounced with an H. In my dialect of English, it is not pronounced. And so we do have to use the article un with these words, since the mute H causes the vowel sound to be the onset sound or the beginning sound of the word. And in English, do you hear the in English? That's a glottal stop sound. When there's a vowel sound at the beginning of a word, we have a glottal stop. And that is the blue question mark that you see. That's a phonetic symbol for the sound at the beginning of a vowel sound. Listen to this sentence. As an heiress, she feels that an hourly wage is dishonorable. Okay, so depending on your dialect, the way you will connect all these words, as an heiress, She feels that an hourly wage is dishonorable. So several glottal stops there. It's the words that begin with the vowel and the words that begin with the mute H, with exception possibly of the word un itself. So if you listen closely, as an heiress have the glottal stop sound, but the S in as carries over as a Z sound and it connects or elides to the next, as an heiress. Anyhow, that is also a French, something that we have in common with French. It's a liaison or a connecting, linking sound. Anyhow, the primary sound that we know of for H is actually the H, as we talked about before, and it's the quintessential H sound. Usually at the beginning of a word or at the beginning of a syllable, we'll say. If there are compound words, then that H is audible, that H is aspirated, as we will see. Let me read these words to you. Hello, hat, house, human, home. So these are words that come from old roots. These are Germanic words or possibly even Indo-European words, some of them. Historic, hostile, hotel, humor. These are words of Latin and even French origin. Hyper, hydraulics. Of course, Greek origin with these. Firehouse, behave, inhibit. So this is just to show that as long as the H is the beginning of the syllable, it will be spoken when it's by itself there. Here's a fun sentence. How has Jorge held up after hurting his hip? That's 8 sounds, H sounds. All right, moving on. The letter H functions in some very interesting ways, and we really don't have time to go over all of that, but I will make another video with some information here. But for now, I will just read to you phony, shoes, these, thanks, rough. So again, the blue symbols are the phonetic symbols from the International Phonetic Alphabet, and they symbolize the sounds that these letter combinations make. These specific letter combinations are called digraphs because it's 2 letters written to represent one phoneme or one sound. Now, some people will argue about whether they're all digraphs all the time, and again, we'll make another video about these combinations, but I did want to point out that sometimes H paired with another letter will actually be silent, or it will make the other letter in the pair silent, or the entire pair will be silent. So here are some examples. A silent H by itself, school, Beethoven, which is actually a German word, but super well-known person, musician, composer, and so it's a word that elementary school kids know, and I thought I would point it out because it's a rare time that you see a silent H with a T. Through, the GH can be considered silent, or maybe it has an effect on that vowel. We'll get into that. Who, the W is silent here, not the H. So that's an interesting one. Prolific letter H. So it's just kind of everywhere, and it does combine with other letters. And so we'll get into that in another video. For today, I just wanted to wrap this up with a little challenge for you. I have a few questions. Do we use the article a or un with these specific words? Honor, an honor. Harbor, a harbor. An hourglass. What about herbivore? A herbivore. Okay, there we pronounce the H because it's kind of a scientific word. I think it comes from Latin as much as French, or it comes from English speaking scientists as much as it comes from Latin or French, we'll say. Anyhow, we can argue the points of this. That's really not so interesting, but the main thing to know is that if you say then you have to say the H. If you say then you should not say the H. So whether it's an herbivore or a herbivore, I think you can get away with it either way. Just don't mix up and say a herbivore. That would be a total disaster, and everyone you know will shun you. Just kidding. All right, next. Can you say these words aloud? Beehive, hothouse, not a TH sound. Honorarium, grasshopper, honesty, Hannah, posh, shepherd, and Jesus. And no, I am not suggesting that Jesus was a posh shepherd. Next, we've got one more round. What English consonants are never doubled? You can leave your answer in the comments section. Please leave a like or subscribe to my channel. I would be thrilled if you checked out my other videos. And I will be back with more English grammar topics as soon as possible. If you learned something new today, please do leave a like. And thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Take care.